first few minutes on this bike. Just giving it a go, see how she feels. So final kind of thoughts of initial impressions. The bike is really good. It feels very European. Feels a lot like a Beta, very slim. You can steer it with your pegs really easily. The bodywork is shaped really well. You don't feel like you're always sliding back on the bike. You can really grip it with your legs. The controls and the feel is everything is where it should be. You're never missing the brake, you're never missing the shifter. The levers I need to adjust a little bit for myself, but everything is super intuitive and right where it should be. You don't really feel like the bars are too far back or forward. You feel like you're very in control. So it makes it actually a very easy bike to ride through some gnarly stuff. Really good at low speeds. It turns really well, and you feel kind of very planted. It's really easy to ride at low speeds over really gnarly stuff. It's got a ton of grip. I don't know if it's the tires or the suspension, but the grip is unbelievable. The power is a little bit, I wouldn't describe it as smooth. It's smooth up to probably about half the rev range, and then there's a really hard hit, almost like on a 250. It hits really hard that if you're not expecting it, it makes a bike do a wheelie. So that's something to get used to. I like a much smoother power band, so I'll probably just ride it a gear up, or get used to it. But there's tons of power. The bike is really fast. There's some open sections here. It's as fast as I would probably dare to go off-road. It feels like it's got twice the power of my 200 KTM. So it's very fast. The suspension is very good. I wouldn't describe it necessarily as super plush. The best way I can describe it is it doesn't do anything weird, which I think is fantastic, because there's a lot of whoops here, there's a lot of slippery stuff. The bike just grips, goes straight in where you point it. It doesn't bounce you off of whoops. The rear comes up a little too much, so maybe a clicker out of the compression is something that I might consider. But it's all stock. The settings, everything is completely factory settings. I set the sag for my weight. So low speeds, it feels really good. Very supple. You can put your wheel exactly where you want it to. It doesn't deflect off of rocks very much. Deflects a little bit, but I'm also running a little bit higher tire pressures, so that might have something to do with it. But I hit some rock piles, and it stays very straight. It doesn't feel like you're gonna bounce off the side of the rock pile or anything like that. So that is very good. Some of the other things that are not so great, the starter, I don't know if it's weak or what, but sometimes in gear. This morning it didn't want to start in gear, which is a little bit annoying. Hasn't been a problem this afternoon. I don't really know what's up with it. The engine makes all kinds of crazy noises that are apparently normal, but are kind of annoying. So it sounds like some other European two-strokes, honestly. So it's a pretty noisy engine. There is a pretty good amount of vibration in the foot pegs. But other than that, the engine is actually very good. The low down power, it's really hard to stall. Even with this kind of the more aggressively tuned version without the flywheel weight, I stalled it once in 2 hours of riding and crashing into logs and all kinds of stuff. So it's very tractable. Some of the other things that are kind of annoying gear oil. There's a window to check it, unlike the KTM, but you can't fill it easily because you have to fill it through this plug, which I guess you better carry a funnel with you to all your rides, because it's kind of a pain. I don't know, maybe the Nils or whatever oil they recommend comes in a bottle that fits in there, but that's a little bit annoying. It's kind of like a Sherco. Maybe it's a trials thing or something. So yeah, KTM, you can fill it, you can't check it. These bikes, you can check it, you can't fill it, so you just can't win. A chain adjustment, back to that. There are no machine marks on the swing arm. The little adjuster has machine marks, but there's no machine marks on the swing arm, so I don't know what you're supposed to match these to. I used a tape measure to just kind of measure from the end of the swing arm to make sure it's even, but I just found that pretty amusing. You know, must have been a Friday and the machinist went home and they just shipped it. Yeah, other than that, there's really nothing to dislike. The bike doesn't feel very heavy. It feels a little bit heavier than my 200, but that's to be expected. I think it honestly feels about the same as a KTM 300, a modern one. I guess the only other thing is the seat's really hard. That's when you sit on this thing, that's one thing you notice immediately. And then the other thing that's annoying actually is this kickstand, which seems like it's kind of cool, but it automatically retracts, which is, if you're trying to check the gear oil on the other side, for example, is not fun. So but yeah, other than that, it's a very solid bike. I'm looking forward to get it onto some actual single track and see how it does.